Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome to the show where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs, and welcome back if you've been with us before. This is your host, Stephen Schmidt of the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm here today with Chris Maddox, and today we are going to be talking about everything real estate. The fix and flips that he has been doing, as well as some other strategies that Chris is getting into. He has an incredible background, and he basically has gone from balayage to balling out in real estate. So we're going to get into it here. Chris, thanks for being here. Just to remind all of you listeners, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate entrepreneurs, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their businesses to allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted, to allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. That being said, Chris, welcome to the show.
What's up?
Hey, man, super excited to have you here today. Just for all of our listeners, I know I gave you gave you an intro there, which led to probably some questions of, for some people, what is balayage, and for other people, how did you go from that to real estate? So tell us a little bit about your background, what got you into real estate originally.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, so when I was early 20s, I got into a hair salon business. And, I went to college. I was there for a couple of years. I didn't graduate because it just wasn't for me. I'm not like anti-college, but, I just think it's not the road for everybody. And so I ended up, the short version is I ended up in the salon world. And when I started working there, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. But, it was creative. It was fun. The people were wild. And so, I'm kind of a mix of creative and structured personality. And so I've been in that for like 30 years. And then about 5 years ago, my path was kind of leading me away from that and into something different, being on the other side of the age spectrum. I'm 54 now. I started thinking about, like not having to show up at the job, to make the money. And so I started learning about, working with private lenders. That was kind of the hook for me. And, being able to do, I guess kind of partner with them and do these deals. And over my life, I've built and renovated, a lot of houses like that I've lived in. And so the idea of investing in real estate, flipping houses, tearing things up and changing stuff didn't really scare me. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty awesome. And so, I dipped into that and started learning about it. And then I'm a big action taker. And so when I had, a little information, I just jumped on it and started going.
Absolutely. That's awesome, man. So one of the things we talked about previous to hopping here onto the actual recording is risk tolerance. Like, you seem like you're a very risk tolerant person. What is it that really made you want to just get started and get going?
Yeah, no problem. So I am for sure. I'm for sure risk tolerant. I think that for me, like, we know everything has been done, so I'm about connecting to those people and those systems and processes and just following along. Like I'm good at like seeing and then just
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
putting that into play. Now I know it's not like perfect, but you have to get going. And so I don't want to spend a lot of time figuring things out. So I'm more about the who than the how, if that makes sense. And so I'm part of 2 different masterminds. And so there are people that flip, hundreds of houses a year. And I was like, okay, I mean, you can't just do that, like off the cusp. You got to know what you're doing. And so, it boils down to systems and processes, to be able to do things over and over again, And so like I pay for them, the masterminds, they're like yearly programs. And I'm okay with that because to me, I'm looking at it more of worth versus cost, so it's saved me more than I have spent on them. And they're not cheap by any means, but still, I'm kind of like, what's the value in where my money is going, And so to be able to connect to those people and, talk to them one-on-one and get into all the resources that they use to be able to do all those things. I mean, it accelerates the learning curve and shortens it, And so I'm about the speed. And so there's a cost to that, So I'm not saying it's the right way or the only way. That's just how I did it. That was my way.
So, I mean, you touched on a really good point there of like being in a group of people, which a lot of times in order to get around people that are on a higher level than where you're currently at or where you aspire to, like you've got to pay to be in those rooms, right? Like access isn't free. There's no let me buy you lunch and pick your brain anymore, right?
Yeah,
right. So like how has being in a mastermind helped you get to where you are now from when you started?
Well, so we get together like quarterly, so 4 times a year. So at the end of this month, April, like we're going to Cancun for a week, and so we usually have one trip where we all or most people go. So you've got a lot of time, to hang out and talk to people about their businesses and things like that. And so it's not that every person you come in contact with is on your path, but you can take bits and pieces, little gold nuggets along the way, and you kind of add them to your toolbox, so you can use them along the way. And it's stuff that a lot of times it's stuff you don't know that you need. You might not know what questions to ask, but just through the conversations of people that are ahead of you that are doing the things where you're going, you learn all that stuff and you're like, oh, okay. And then, maybe it'll apply to your next situation that you come into, so it's really, you're kind of, it's like your education, and you pay for education, So that's, I mean, to me, that's like the biggest part, is making all those connections.
You bet. Well, and that's a big thing with like, even college nowadays. I like how you mentioned the education piece because it's like, really, unless you're going for a high level skill to college these days, you're really paying for relationships if you can go build them. If that's why you go, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting how we grow up in a world that's tailored towards you go to school for X amount of years, you get a specialty, then you get out, and then education stops, right? You no longer have to pay to get into rooms with people. You no longer have to pay for education. But it's one of those things I love that you made that point because ultimately what you are doing is furthering your ability to earn and become a better human being even. At the same time along with that, while also aligning yourself with people that are on the same journey. Maybe not in the same capacity of size that you would like to be or whatever that might be, but you're still on the journey with other people having community, which we all crave as human beings, right? So now, what are some mistakes like for somebody that's like just getting started what are some mistakes you see people make, and what advice would you give to somebody just getting started?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
So a big one would be like taking too long to take action. Like we were talking in the beginning, like definitely do podcasts, definitely read the books, definitely go to your local RIA groups and meet people, I mean, do all those things. But, I like my local RIA group is really active where I live here in Greenville. And so the first, I don't know, say 2 years or so that I was part of it, just meeting people, along the way and talking to them and seeing them every month, at our meetings. And then I would find out that a lot of them hadn't even done their first deal yet. And I was like, what? It blew my, like they knew so much stuff. Like I had good conversation with them, but they hadn't done anything. And so it's like, what's the purpose of all the information if you don't put it to use, whether it's for yourself or sharing it, which I guess they were sharing it, but they're talking about all the deal analytics and just all of the things, but they hadn't done anything. And I couldn't wrap my mind around that, man. I was like, what the heck, So, I would say get on it, take action, because you're not going to learn enough to be perfect, like ever. So you might as well get into it and go ahead and start making your mistakes. I feel like I want to make my mistakes quick and early on so I can learn through that, so that the next one that I do, I'm better. And so I want to do all that early. I want to screw up early, so I'm better faster. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, Chris. With what you're saying there too, I think the biggest piece that people face in the beginning there is the fear of not knowing what they don't know. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So for people that are failing to take action, what is the first step of taking action, do you think? Like, especially if somebody's very risk averse, doesn't know what they're doing, scared they're going to get themselves into a bind, like where would you recommend them starting with that action?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, think of a scale. You need to take your fear of failure on one side of that scale, and you need to take your want to succeed on the other one. Now, if your fear outweighs, your want, good luck. I mean, you have to inside want to do better than you are afraid. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So if it's a huge hang up, you're moving forward, your action taking, then I would say a great thing to do would be to find someone who is doing the things that you want to do and maybe partner with them. What kind of value can you add to help that person out? And that way you at least get some learning, some on-hand learning experience. Maybe you can go through a project with them, maybe maybe you've got a little bit of money you can put into the project with them, and then they'll give you a little cut, at the other side or something. If you have time on your hands, you can work with them. Maybe they're short on time. Maybe you can do errands. Maybe you can do some phone calls. Maybe, whatever sweat equity you might could put in, I mean, you have to look at it like education, whatever you have, there's something that you can add, to help another person out. You always want to help someone else get what they want, and then in return, they'll help you, at some point down the road. So
Absolutely.
That's probably, the first thing that comes to mind for me.
What do you think people should look for, like in finding a partner? What do you think people should be looking for in a partner, especially when they're new, don't know what they don't know?
Yeah.
And what I mean by this, I want to really like clearly define this so it's a complex but well thought out question. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of people in this business, as you and I both know too, that are sharks, that are snakes, that are looking for a sucker to be able to do their will, and that they are able to get one over on. And sometimes that's the cost of being new and doing something, is you do have to pay for that.
Yeah.
But if you were somebody that's brand new, looking to try to find a partner, what are some characteristics, qualities, et cetera, that you would look for in somebody to do deals with that you would then offer, maybe even to do a deal or two for like nothing, just to learn?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I would suggest vetting someone a little bit, first of all, like you're saying, like just because someone on the outside looks like, oh, that's the person that, I want to emulate and I want to partner with. I mean, they may be a crappy person, so I would get maybe some references, and talk to some people that have worked with them, done some deals with them, maybe gotten some information from them and kind of feel it out a little bit. So that's the first thing that I would say. And as far as characteristics that I look for, there's kind of some different answers to this. For partnering purposes, generally you want, sort of an opposite skill set. So like if you're great with the deal finding side, but you're not good with like finding the money side, then, you might want to, that would be like your offset. If it's just strictly like learning, then, I would not be too broad. Like for me, like when I started, like all of us probably, you get so overwhelmed because there's so many avenues that you can go to: creative finance, flipping, rentals, there's multifamily, there's all this stuff to learn about. Like you need to pick, I think, one niche and then and kind of stick there for a little while. You need to give it a little time, to see if you like it, if it makes sense, things like that, and then go to something different, or add to it. So I would specifically find a person that does that thing, and so to me, if I guess it depends on if you're a good people person or people reader, like I love
Sure.
getting together with people like in person, because I feel like on the phone or, text message, social media, all that stuff, you don't get the full vibe, when you're sitting next to
Right.
someone, body language, how they move around, how you interact together, all that like weighs in a lot on decisions, a lot heavier than just being on the phone, I mean, even like what we're doing, is better than like emailing back and forth or whatever,
Right.
I
Yeah.
definitely think I'm just I like face to face,
I'm the same way, for sure. Yeah. So really vetting somebody, feeling their energy, I think is a lot of, to put it in almost like one term of what you're saying, it's really feeling the energy of another person too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've maybe because my background is dealing with people, like all day, every day,
Yeah. All
like in
day,
the
every day.
salon. That's probably it's funny. Like a lot of that skill set has translated over into the real estate world because it's so like relationship oriented,
Mm.
So like I'm pretty quick to be able to say, okay, this person would be awesome to work with, versus the other way where you're like, they're a shithead.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally. For sure.
So yeah, I mean, so anyway, I mean, like you and I have not met before, but I mean, in the first 5 minutes, it's kind of like I can vibe with this guy,
You bet. Yeah.
So it's different. You can kind of feel it out.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to get along with people that you align with too. Like I know a big one for me personally is if I was looking for a partner and I would set up like an in-person meeting or especially like a phone call or a Zoom, like if somebody shows up on time or not. That is
Yeah.
such a big one for me personally. Like, especially if we're getting together in person and it's like, this is the time set on the calendar. It's on my calendar. You've got a calendar invite, all that. Like, if you're 3 minutes late, I'm probably already gone.
Yeah.
Like, because I already know we're not in alignment. Because if you're there 2 minutes early, prepared for the time we said we'd get together, awesome. We're here, you know? But,
Yeah. I'm a time person too, like that for sure. I'm an early as on time person.
you
If I
bet.
get there if I'm like right on time, like today I clicked in, at 11,
Yeah.
instead of like a few minutes early, but I'm an early person,
Right.
like in general. I'm definitely not a late person.
I'm
So
with you
I'm
there.
on your page with that for sure. And I think the other thing is, to kind of do a part B answer to that question is,
Sure.
you're you you need to what's the best way to say this, like we all have expectations,
Mm,
and so you need to find out, like I think our expectations, we get disappointed because we put that on other people, like
sure.
they should be just like us,
Right.
and so when they're not, we're like, oh, I mean, like, but if you find out from the other people, like where they're like, what are your like, I'm always like, okay, when I'm doing private money, for instance, like I find out what the needs and wants and expectations of the other person are, and then I'll take that, into like high consideration, and then I'll try to work with them according to that and see if we can come together, so like with the contractor, for instance, I'll find out like what's realistic for you to send me a bid on this project, because in my head I'm like, I need something at the end of the day, but they're doing stuff, they're busy, that's probably not realistic, I mean, if they tell me a week, I'm like, that's crazy, I'm not waiting around a week. So so I'm trying to get information from them so that I can align my expectations with them so that I'm more realistic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
What's
you want to find out where the other person is at and try to meet them, and see if it makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. With that, tell me a little bit more about the types of deals that you do. It's mostly single family investing, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about like what's some of the best deals that you've gotten yourself into? How are you finding your deals? What are some of those avenues just to maybe help our listeners?
Yeah. So, like, I have done zero marketing. Like, I just haven't ever gone down that path. I'm more of a, network person. So
Mm,
I've got a couple agents that I work with who have brought me some deals. I've got a couple wholesalers that I work with that have brought me some deals, and I have found some on my own, whether it was, just going up and knocking on someone's door, or seeing a house that I called on, just things like that, So it's been kind of a mix, of more networking kind of stuff. So, but I like to know people, like the agents that I work with, for instance, I've known them for a long time and they know what I do. And I'm like, look, bring me a deal, you can sell it. So you can make money when we get it and when we get rid of it, so I try to make it valuable for them too,
mm,
and wholesalers, the couple that I work with more regularly, like I'll go with them, a lot of times if the schedule permits, I'll go with them because they're good at the finding the deal side, but they don't know numbers like I know, because I've sat down and I'll break down the deal with them. I'm like, listen, I got to get insurance. I'm paying my lenders, the closing costs, blah blah blah. I've got taxes because it's income when I flip it. I mean, I'll go through it with them so they can understand. I'm not just giving them some crappy lowball number under what they're asking for. I go through it. I'm
mhm.
like, here are my numbers. Like I'm super transparent, and I'm like, this is what I can pay, and you can count on it. I'm gonna close it up in 2 weeks and we can move on to the next one, But also, I'm like, listen, if you got someone else that'll pay for more, or if it doesn't work, it's no problem, Just I want I want people that I'm in communication with to make money also, because if I'm helping them make money, they're going to bring, it works back and forth. So
You bet.
I'm not trying to make everything and not share the wealth. I want everyone to do well, but
Right.
I lay it out there like it is what it is. So.
So with that being said, because one of the things that you listed on your sheet before we hopped on today was finding consistent deal flow with good margins seems to be one of the challenges that you've constantly faced. So like what are some of the things you've done to help with that in the past several years?
I mean, it's still tough. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm just, crushing 30 deals a year or whatever. I mean, it's still tough. What are we in April? And I've got, I've got one on the market that I finished up. I've got one under contract, and I've got two under contract. And this weekend I'm going to look at three more houses. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to get them all. I mean, I have the capacity to do multiple houses at once, but I mean, it's sometimes I've got, two or three or four going. Sometimes it's nothing for a couple of months. It's a big mix of kind of what I come across, and, I think, I'm not the person that is going to just get a deal and risk it. Like, I think I can make this, or if my budget's more, that's okay. Like I kind of stick to my guns for the most part. I'm not the person that's like, well, my rehab budget's 50. And then I get into it and I'm like, if I spend 65, I don't really care. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So I kind of stick to that for safety reasons, obviously security. And I mean, I'm working with someone else's money, to do the deals. And so I'm not going to, I'm risk tolerant, but I'm not going to be an idiot. Like, I'm not going to risk all that money and the problems that could come with botching a deal, like that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you one more big one, and then we'll start wrapping up with the show here today. But if you had to put yourself back in the shoes of when you got started and really put yourself in that position, but do so with all the knowledge that you've gotten over the last 5 years, what would you do different and what would you do the same?
So as far as the same, I feel like I took as much action as I could, that made sense. I mean, I like my first year, I think I flipped 8 houses. So that was like right out of the gate. So, I mean, I feel pretty proud of that, I mean, I feel like that's a lot, I joined the Masterminds like right out of the gate. That was super helpful. It was expensive, but like I was saying, I'm like, I want to cut the learning curve down. I want to minimize my mistakes. And I think you can only do that by, engrossing yourself in the right systems and being around the right people to do that,
Sure.
What I would do different, for sure would be, like, I was super anti hard money. I was like, I'm not doing hard money. That's crazy. It costs more and all that kind of stuff. Like, I would only do all private money for each deal, so, as you kind of learn more, strategies, like, I think if I would have thought about or learned, taking the private money and applying it to the hard money, like, I could have done more quicker, like, instead of having to have $250,000 for the deal, I could have had, 50 or 30 or whatever, I could just take, say, 10 or 15% and work with the hard money. So, like, maybe you would make a little less in the deal, but you could do more volume. So that's just kind of a personal preference. So I think, if I could do, say I could make $20,000 a deal and I could do, a dozen deals, that's like $240,000, right? Just ballpark number. But if I only did, 6 deals and it was all private money and maybe I made 25, that's only $150,000. So at the end of the day, it's just about, adding to your bucket. You know what I mean? So if I can do more deals and I can add a little bit more to the bucket, by mixing the private and the hard, then that makes sense. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the hard money is more expensive if in the end you're making more. You know what I mean? But I still have a margin that I work with. Like, I'm not going to do it unless I'm at X,
Yeah. 100%. Well, Chris, thanks for joining us today. We're so appreciative and grateful that you were here to share your expertise. If anyone wants to learn more about you, what you're working on, where should they go to connect with you?
Man, I will talk to people on the phone. I'll Zoom with them, social media. I don't really care. Like, I think usually I just connect to people the way that they want to, so I mean, like I just
But
have
if they don't know where to find you, they won't know how to connect with you and tell you how they want to be connected with. So how would they do that?
Yeah. So like, my name, Chris Maddox, I'm in Greenville. That's my it's just my Facebook page. It's nothing fancy. It's just my personal Facebook page. You can message me. I've got a Instagram, and it's, M for my last name, and then 51, like M51 REI for real estate investor. So, you can Instagram message me, email. I mean, you want me to put my email out there?
No, that's up to you. It's just where
Yeah,
people
man,
can
my
reach out to
email-
get in touch.
Yeah, I mean, my email is my last name, Maddox Investment Property @gmail. So you can email me. I mean, whatever. I mean, I love talking to people, and I try to give out. Man, I'll give out information. I've got a lot of stuff on my computer, resources like contracts and just all kinds of stuff. That I'll send off to people just because they need some things. And I'm not looking for anything but to just build up your network and get to know people.
You bet. Well, thanks for being here, Chris. You heard it here first, folks. And if you take anything away from this, make sure you go and take action first and foremost.
Yes.
But thanks for joining us for today's episode. Make sure to subscribe and learn more about Investor Fuel, and we will see y'all in the next episode. Thanks again, Chris.
See y'all.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.